Hello everybody, this is Sarah Scott and Janet Osterlach, hour 25, and we are going to be looking today at Chicago Homer and how that can help us doing word studies in ancient Greek texts.
So, Sarah, can you talk about Chicago Homer? We know Perseus. How different is Chicago Homer?
Well, Perseus, that we've been looking at previously, has a lot of Greek texts from all periods, and it's got some search functionality, you've got options to look at dictionary entries and so forth. Chicago Homer specializes, as the name suggests, in Homeric poetry, that is the epics Iliad and Odyssey, the Homeric hymns, also Hesiod, Works and Days, Theogony, and Shield of Heracles. And it provides a few different sorts of search functionalities as well. So you can do different kinds of search. So we'll start by just having a little look at what it looks like and how to navigate. And then subsequently we'll have a look at some of the functionality that you can use for word studies. Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, I'm just going to screen share and go to the Chicago Homer website. And there's the Chicago Homer, and when you go to their homepage, you'll see there's a nice big enter at the middle of the screen there. And so we just click on that, and that usually opens up into a new window. And I'm just going to enlarge that so we've got it full screen so you can see what's going on. So to start with, we can just have a look at one of the works, and so we'll start off by let's start off by going to Iliad. We just click on the tab button for Iliad, and then we'll put in the book number and the line number that we want to go to. So let's go to book 5 and line 771, and then click retrieve. And there you can see the text, and it has a line of Greek text, and then underneath it it's got a translation. That's the Lattimore translation. It's more or less line by line. But one thing, of course, is the English word order and Greek word order can be very different. So it's not necessarily that each word matches each word, but it's pretty close, and it'll give you a sense of what the meaning of the text is if you're not so familiar with Greek. And you can follow the text down and scroll down page, scroll up. Now say we wanted to go to Odyssey, we just click on the book, the tab for Odyssey, and then we'll type in the line and book number that we want to go to there. So let's have a look. We could go to, say, book 2 and line 431 and click retrieve. And there the text is displayed for the lines. And to navigate through the text, you can click previous. It will go to the previous page, starting at line 398. It's highlighted 401 because that's just a few lines in. That's fair enough. You can go next. That'll give you to the next page. Now what happens if we click here on the next, you can see the text doesn't fill the whole page, which suggests maybe this is the end of this book. So what happens if you click next? It can't find it because there's no further text. So what you'd have to do to go to book 3 would be to type in 3 and line 1 and retrieve. And there you are at the beginning of book 3.
Okay. So previous and next are within the book, not between the books.
Exactly, exactly. But you can go to any point that you want. If we then go back to Iliad, we'll see that we're back, should work. Oh, retrieve. We'll retrieve, and we're back at book 3, line 1 of Iliad. Okay. So that's how to do a simple browse through the text. Now, another thing that you might find useful if you're not very good at reading Greek yet, you've got the options at the top. And display options, you can change how many lines you show per page. 30 seems like quite a good number. You can just decide if you want to turn off the line numbers. I think it's very useful, so I would leave that. But you can show it in Greek or in English, or as the default, but in both. You've also got the option here for transliteration. So click on that, and then go back to the browse, and then retrieve. You've now got an extra line of text, which is a transliteration of the Greek. So if you're not very familiar with the characters, that will at least give you some idea of what the Greek words are. So that's just another useful little option.
I realize that some of the words are turning red. What does that mean?
Okay, so one of the things that you can do, if you click on one of the Greek words, you can get a little bit of information about it. So let's go for this one, klange. And over on the right-hand side here, you can see you've got the word form and the nominative as well. You've got how many times that word appears in Iliad, Odyssey, in the main hymns, and in total, and how many times in narrative and how many times in speech. We click on another word. We'll come on with ornithos. And here you see you've got that form as it appears on that line, but you've also got what the nominative form is, the dictionary form, which can be quite useful if you're not sure which word it comes from. Another thing we can do is we can click on that word to find out how many times it appears altogether in any form. And so you've got a dative plural, you've got nominative plural, and so forth. Nominative singular. So that's every time that it appears.
And every time that appears on all the texts in Chicago Homer?
All of them all together, yeah.
Okay.
So you've got Iliad, and then you scroll down and you see Odyssey, and so forth. So that's quite a useful to browse. And if you want to go back to where you were, you go back to the browse because you were browsing through the text. Another thing you can do is you can see next to the lemma form, it's got LSJ. Now, if you click on that, opens up a new window, and you're actually in Perseus. It links directly to those Greek dictionary entries in Perseus that we've looked at before. And you've got the choice of dictionary, LSJ, Middle Liddell, Slater, Autenrieth. So, okay, we can look at Autenrieth, which is the Homeric dictionary, and it gives you the meaning bird, or like a bird of omen, and so forth. And we go back into the Chicago Homer. Another thing you can notice that actually sometimes when you scroll, I'm going to go back to Iliad's book 1, scroll 1, just for the moment. That I'm going to go to line 14 because I know I've got an example that's going to give us something useful. You can see that some of the English words also highlight in red. Not all of them, but some of them. So if we click on the word hands, and we can see over here at the right-hand side there are two different Greek words that have been translated into English as hand. And one of them, ker, That's transliterated as CHEIR. In Greek it will be chi, epsilon, iota, rho. That comes up 729 times in all its forms. So that's a very frequent word. But there's another word, palame, P-A-L-A-M-E, or eta, long E, transliterated with a circumflex. That comes up 28 times. So again, you can click on the LSJ entry, and that will take you through to the dictionary entry, and again you can click on that to find out the exact meaning of that, what's different about that meaning. And here it says it's the palm of the hand, specialized meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And back at the Chicago Homer entry. So if you don't know much Greek, that can be quite useful. You want to know, is it exactly the same thing every time you see that word translated into English? And there might be one, two or more different Greek terms that have been translated into English. That's another quite handy thing that you can do with it. And then there's another thing you might notice, that there are all these little numbers surrounding the Greek text. It's also shown on the transliteration. And they start right at the top here. So the very first line, you've got a phrase marked. At the beginning, you've got those little numbers, and that shows you where the phrase starts and ends. And these are these formulaic phrases, the sort of thing that was identified by Parry and Lord when they were doing their research on oral poetics and Singer of Tales, for example. And this is great because the work's been done for us. They have actually identified all these different phrases, and we can track them throughout wherever they're used. Sometimes they overlap a bit. In the second line, you've got, here's number 2, starts here just before the word alge and ends after the word etheke. And then number 3 starts at etheke and ends in the third line just after polasta. So you can track any of those phrases through wherever they occur throughout the whole text. So let's take an example. I haven't tried this one before, but let's try Dios de Talea te boule. The will of Zeus was accomplished. You can see it's come up in transliteration there. You click on it and it will give you in this case it's just 2 places where that exact phrase comes, and you can then click on the example to see where it occurs in context, and here we are in the Odyssey, and there's the exact phrase. Now this time it's actually got number 8 because it's the 8th one on that page, but it is the exact same phrase. So if you click on the little 8, it will give us back that same list of occurrences. Mm-hmm. So you can do that with any of those. Go back onto the browser, and then we're back onto where we were.
It's a very neat tool.
Yeah, I think it is. So, for example, the word study group was looking for examples of oinopaponton, the wine-faced sea. Some of the phrases are very long. There could be a whole line or 2. There's an example of that one here, number 12, and it's the whole line. Castor, tamer of horses, and Pollux, good at boxing, as it's translated here. So that's a very, very useful tool to get an idea of that oral poetics, the oral performance of these poems, and just phrases and formulae that you're interested in tracking.
Thank you so much, Sarah. This was really helpful.
Okay, thank you, Janet. And we'll come back with another video in due course.
Thank you.